So get up.
Top of the morning.
Now, back to Sunrise on News Radio 880 KCMX.
Good morning, everyone. 33 after the hour. Welcome back to the Sunrise Show. Craig Froenig in as your host, and want to welcome onto the program Dr. Mark Christian. He's a OBGYN doctor, but he has moved. Well, he's come to the United States after becoming a born-again Christian. He was a groomed Sunni Muslim, and in the Muslim Brotherhood, and in Egypt, and then it wasn't feeding his soul. And believe it or not, born-again Christian, had to hide his faith in Egypt, and then he was able to get to America. But fast forward to now, he has seen the need of Americans and what's going on in America, and he has started the Global Faith Institute. GlobalFaithInstitute.org is the website. And good morning, Mark. Thank you so much for being on the program.
Thank you very much for having me.
You know, it's so interesting as you look, whether it's Americans that aren't tight, you know, they don't step up and vote on election day, whether it's Americans that don't get involved in politics, that say, oh, humbug, you know, don't want to get involved, or it's Americans that don't understand the issues. And that's what's happening with this Muslim issue around the world, because you've got peaceful Muslims. We say that all the time. This is what comes out in the media. But then you've got the Quran, right? The one book that all Muslims read out of. And there's that disconnect between Muslim extremists or jihad. I want to find out the jihad part. What is that, Mark? The jihad?
Jihad is a concept, Islamic teaching, that started 8 years before the death of Muhammad, the founder of Islam. And it was his own way to say, let us use jihad, or the force, the power of force and the sword, to spread his own religion and his own ideology among his people and among his neighbors, and then to the rest of the world. And that has been in a constant expansion and use since Muhammad started it 7 years until today.
So
Thank you very much for having me on your show, by the way. And
yes,
I really appreciate the opportunity to try to educate the people that you mentioned in the very beginning, that, you know, the people who are not educated enough to make an educated decision on things that that is going to affect you and affect your kids. And the other thing I want to add to you is that there is also a factor of deceiving leaders that we have right now, that either they are uneducated as well, or they are deceiving on purpose the American people.
Yes, I talked about that. You know, you kind of have to say, all right, do they know? And if they know, then why aren't they telling us? And since they aren't telling us, then it's the deceit issue. And it's very disturbing.
Americans in general, and the West, I'm talking about Americans at this point,
right,
they will listen to their leader. They are waiting for their leader to step up and tell them exactly what is going on. This is why they elected President Obama. Whether you voted for him or not, at the end of the day, every American respects the office that President Obama holds, and every American expects that office represent them and speak for them and teach them and give them guidance on what's in this world that we live in. But President Obama, constantly not, willing to take the job, and is doing something, as I put an article just yesterday about the Iran negotiation over nuclear weapons, and I asked President Obama openly in the public, and I wish he can get that question. Why are not working for American people, and why are in constant support of Islamists and Islamics and Prophet Muhammad, defending him in every way you can, while you are not doing the same thing for Americans or anything that is American?
was interesting, and you did write a letter. I've read it. It's amazing. You wrote an open letter to Obama, and it was so interesting to me that as they had this Islamic summit a few weeks back, they had Muslim prayer, but they did not Christian prayer.
That's true, and what I'm referring to, actually, Greg, is a new article that has been published on WordNet Daily about the Iranian, Israeli-American conflict over nuclear weapons. And this is another front. It's not about prayers. It's about the reality of things. That he is letting Iran to have nuclear weapons, throwing, America and Israel under the bus for the cause of Islam. And you have to read this article to understand why he's doing it and why we should not believe that when he says that he's going to stop Iran from having nuclear weapons, because the future tells us very clearly that this is not the case, and the past is telling us very clearly that's not the case.
Exactly right. And, what's so amazing to me is, I heard the negotiations and the levels of allowing Iran to have, first off, I don't even understand, because they're not letting inspectors in to see what they have and what they don't have.
Here's the thing, Greg. I'm a very big fan of his features. So in this particular article, I went back to the very beginning when Iran started looking into nuclear weapons and their programs start showing up to the national scene, and how America during time helped them establish their nuclear program. Iran was not an Islamist regime. It was a more secular one, and we helped them during Eisenhower. So I really encourage people to read this article so you can understand for yourself in a very simple terms how history is going to shape our future.
Well, what I'll do is I'll grab that and get it posted on our Facebook page, because I haven't seen that most recent, letter that you've written. Because truly, it doesn't feel like Americans are digging down to the root of what's going on. It feels like we're getting a big fat snow job. So, Mark, a break coming up. Can you hold on through the break?
Sure.
Excellent. We've got Dr. Mark Christian on from Global Faith Institute. I really encourage you to get to his website, globalfaithinstitute.org. He's written books on there describing all the issues around the world. It also has an amazing event, Israel in the Heartland, coming up March 19th. We want to talk more about that when we come back as well. It's the Sunrise Show on News Radio 880 KCMX.
Now, back to Sunrise on News Radio 880 KCMX.
Shout, shout, I'm talking to you, so come on. Shout!
Good morning, everyone. 47 minutes after the hour, continuing with Dr. Mark Christian from the Global Faith Institute. I encourage you to check out his website, globalfaithinstitute.org. It's fascinating with the amount of information that's there. And he was born and raised in Egypt. He broke away, became a born-again Christian, and is in the in Nebraska Global Faith Institute. But Mark, you are having on the 19th of March a night to honor Israel in the Heartland, the first time ever, and you spoke about all the incredible speakers that'll be there that night, and even a Holocaust survivor. And I was so taken back by watching Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu speak to the joint session of Congress, and look at what the Jewish people and Israel has endured. And 8,000 square miles in comparison to what, Iran's 636 square miles. In fact, Arkansas is like 53,000 square miles. Israel is less than one-fifth of the state of Arkansas, and it's creating all this, and yet the United States can't even stand next to them as an ally. It's
100% true. Unfortunately, I have one setback that it is a great event I'm trying to put together, and I'm focusing my efforts to do that, because we have to confront the anti-Semitic narrative that is going on in America, and especially at colleges and everywhere. It is horrible, it is unbelievable, and I cannot even imagine it's happening again. And some people trying to convince me that it is the right thing to do. They don't know my background. They don't know that I came from that background. And now I know I'm going to go back to the lies I lived and grew up with whatsoever,
Right.
which is hating Israel. Right now I'm a very big supporter. I love Israel, and I will do whatever it takes to raise awareness about the problems that's going on. But in the midst of all of this, Greg, you will be surprised to know that one of the Israeli officials, one of the Israel that was supposed to be speaking at the event, backed out and said, the consulate is not going to be able to be in this event. And when I ask why, they talk about the Tri-Faith Initiative that I have been, would say, against its narrative.
Yeah.
So for your listeners and for yourself, the Tri-Faith Initiative, it is a church, United Church of Christ. It is a church that is publicly promoting anti-Semitism, getting together with a group of Muslims who are Hamas supporters. They are also anti-Semitic and anti-Israel, getting together with the Reformed synagogue to first ever in history what is called the Tri-Faith Initiative. When they build on a campus, they want to put a mosque, a church, and a synagogue all together in one campus, and they have a kumbaya relationship with each other.
Right, but that's
I
not
like
going to
the
work.
idea by itself because it's building bridges to everybody, and it is an American value. But when you have an anti-Semitic church and anti-Israel and terrorist organization like Hamas involved in this, it seems like it is something that we should not support. But, the ambassador and the consulate of Israel comes up to me on the phone and says, I'm not going to come to this event, but I want to make a stand.
Wow. Much for them then, isn't it?
I don't know what it is too much. If the consul's job is to, educate people about Israel, and you have an opportunity like this, which is the very first ever in the history of the Midwest to have a pro-Israel event, and he refused to come and speak because he does not want to get himself into the fight between the anti-Semitism and the rest of American people. What else can he do?
You wonder, because here's the issue on leadership, Mark, is when it's time to take the tough stand, you do it. There's no negotiating. You straightforward. And this is what's happened. So you've come up with a little bit of a snag there. Well,
but I'm not going to back up. I'm going to continue supporting Israel. I'm going to continue having this event. We have great speakers. And if the consulate does not want to come, I bet there is a whole bunch of other Israeli officials that I'm reaching out to right now to see if they can come and speak at this statement that, like I'm echoing what Netanyahu said the other day in front of the Congress. The time to compromise for peace and let the people be slaughtered is not going to happen again. And this is what Netanyahu said, and I echo that.
it's not going to happen again. No, exactly right. And this is the tough stand. And we talk about Iran having nuclear weapons and that they're out of their minds. And one of the things that I talked about this off air on the break was we as Americans think that a sovereign nation can continue to keep those weapons. What if they're overrun by another savage nation? Then all of a sudden they've got possession of these weapons. I mean, who's to say that they might sell off to highest bidder, right?
Yes.
So,
but, this is what you see from leadership. You see, I don't know what kind of leadership this is. They say that we have to pick our fight. I don't know. This is a fight I think everybody has to pick. We are not going to let things happen the way it is. The United Church of Christ, which is supposedly a fellow Christians, on their website, publicly says the only good Jew is the Jew that supports them and against Israel. How is that even, allowed, at this time? Why wouldn't Israel, say this is wrong? Why Jews are willing to have a kumbaya with people that they're on their website say the only good Jew is the Jews against Israel? How is that even possible?
What's it going to accomplish if the leadership that people are looking for is not there?
I don't know. Answer me, and I hope your audience will answer that, because it is a time that, we the people, as a matter of fact, not rise up or not do anything other, get educated so we can hold our leadership on their decisions.
This can't always be soft, warm, and fuzzy. When it's time, it's time. And, you've got to stand for what you believe in. And it is a shame. Your guest speaker, was it General no, the Israeli
No.
consul. Yeah.
The Unzai Council. So we took him off the list and we will find people who has the courage to be leaders.
Well, it's going to be a great event. Israel in the Heartland coming up on March 19th, and Mark Christian and the Global Faith Institute, we wish you all the well. In our last minute, interesting, over the weekend, Malaysian flight MH370. We spoke about this a year ago. It's disappeared, found it, and now they have released information that the batteries that ran the pinging were outdated.
If you go back to our footage about talking about that from day one, Greg, I've been talking about what exactly happened and what is the sequence of events is going to be leading to. And when they announced the depth of the ocean, I told you it's not, but they just wanted to stop the look and try to end it in a place that it will never be found in. Now they want to call this search off by saying the battery was off even a year before the plane went down. So there is no point of looking for it anymore. You are looking for something that you cannot find, and so forth. In this time and age we live in, Greg, you have a plane with this size and plane with
a
this
777. It's a Boeing.
It appears is wrong.
Oh, it's absolutely wrong. And no one has talked about what value an aircraft is to a military group. Well, Mark, we're out of time, unfortunately. I so appreciate your time this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Christian from the Global Faith Institute. Get to his website, globalfaithinstitute.org. Mark, thanks again.
Thank you.
All right. We'll be back after this break.